was gonna do some quick bios, and then we'll hop into the questions if that's okay with everybody.
Yep.
I'm Tiffany, by the way.
Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you all. Danielle, nice to meet you. Just kidding.
Nice. Tiffany.
Yeah, good to see you. So we'll start with Cameron. Cameron grew up in the industry. His mother is a director. He grew up in Wilmington, Delaware. Dahmer and Fallout Project are some of his well-known projects. Sugar on Apple TV with Colin Farrell as well. His character, Mason Bishop, has actually been a fan favorite for years. Even though we've only seen you in 4 episodes, 2 of them being from season 1 and then the other 2 season 7. I don't know if you realize this, Cameron, but people were like gunning for Mason to come back. Like people wanted Mason to come back so bad.
That feels really, it's so funny because from the character standpoint and the acting standpoint, like I feel like when I showed up, Danielle also was like, I was trying to get you back on the show, and I was like, I just wanted a job.
Yeah.
So when you hear like people are gunning for you, you're like, where's my phone call?
Oh yeah, like why isn't my phone ringing?
But it was such a kismet way to come back. Like it was so.
Yeah.
I remember because I was a younger actor when I booked it, because it was like 5 or 6 years. COVID throws me off at the time, but I think it was like 5 or 6 years from like the last episode to the penultimate one. That I remember when I was younger and I booked the brother of one of the leads on the show. I was like, I'm going to be in this thing forever.
Yeah.
But I feel like it was, albeit short and sweet, it was very sweet. I'm still so like grateful that I got to be a part of this and work with you, Danielle, and you, David, and being Shonda Land. And like, it's the hype on the show. I feel like I'm seeing all this like hashtag save Station 19 that I'm like, yeah, come on, save it.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
Come on, Netflix, just buy it, man.
I know. Seriously.
Yeah, Hulu, anybody, Apple TV,
Amazon Prime,
Paramount, somebody.
Amazon Prime.
And
like we're not doing enough product placements.
Right, with all the baby stuff from Amazon Prime. Seriously.
David had to deal with that.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I did on that last one. I mean, sometimes editing. I've done it a few times editing.
Yeah.
But this one, I read the script and I missed it. Like I literally read the first draft and I missed that it was because I think they changed it. Amazon made them change it a little bit, the wording. But on my first read, I didn't notice. Like it went subliminally by me, and then and then Amazon themselves requested a change that I was like, well, now it sticks out like a sore thumb. Like if their strategy is to get it like subliminally in, they shouldn't have changed the line. But
like I need to order these Amazon Prime diapers right away with free returns and shipping.
Right, exactly. The way they require it to be shot, it's never like subtle, so it didn't matter. But when I first read the script, Stefania's line just like went by me, like we don't need a whole Amazon truck or something. She said, and I didn't notice it, even though I've done like 4 of them as an editor, and I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, Amazon, save us.
Come on, Amazon.
Right.
Then we have.
Yes.
No, that's okay. We have David Greenspan from Long Island, New York, attended Harvard and USC Film School in 2000, won an award for his best short film, Beancake, in 2001, hence your Twitter handle.
Wait. You went to Harvard?
Yeah. I when I was at USC Film School, like doing like focus pulling on my like on this actor who's a friend of my family, he was like, didn't you go to Harvard? And I was like holding the tape measure to his nose. He's like, do your parents know you're doing this with your education?
David, you talk about USC, but I never once knew you went to Harvard before USC.
Yeah, but I don't like to,
He doesn't like to talk about it.
I don't
He doesn't like to talk about it, and now it's just out there now.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Anyway, sorry. Something I didn't know after knowing David for 7 years. Thanks, David. Okay.
Assistant editor on Grey's Anatomy for many years, 2006 to 2015, editor for How to Get Away with Murder, Empire Scandal, before transitioning to Station 19. And Station 19 first directing was season 3, episode 8. And then for Danielle, we just put Danielle Savre plays the captivating and empowering Maya Bishop. If you don't know who she is, first of all, where have you been? Second of all, what are you waiting for? Go stream Station 19 ASAP.
I mean, that's the best introduction ever. I'll take it.
So, we got so many fan questions in, you guys. It was insane how many questions we got in. So hopefully we can get into as many as possible. But I think we're just gonna kind of each take a question and just kind of each take a turn and just go from there, if that's okay with you guys.
Perfect.
Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna start with Beth. Mine did not color code. So do you want me to just start with a Cameron question?
Yeah, maybe just do a question for everybody.
Okay.
Go with it.
So
You got it.
Cameron, let's see. Have you always wanted to be an actor, or what did you want to be when you grew up?
I always loved movies and television, and my parents, I find, and like this is not a blanket statement, but I do feel like either your whole family is in this business, or like you are from the middle of nowhere and just kind of stumbled upon it. Like it doesn't seem like there's like, yeah, I knew one person, or my cousin was like, my sister was in PR. My dad and my mom met at the Alabama Shakespeare Festival, which I know you hear Alabama, but it's like the second biggest Shakespeare festival next to Edinburgh, or at least it was when they met. And my mom is a script supervisor and a director. So like I grew up like visiting her on set and like realizing like this was a job. But I think I also knew how hard it was. So I waited a while before I think I took a leap of faith to try. But I've always been like bit by the bug. I was obsessed with like visiting my mom and going to the movies with my dad and all that kind of stuff. So like it's very much like in the bloodline.
Okay.
It's in your blood.
Yeah, it's in my blood.
Yep. Did you want me to just do one question per person and then we'll do it that way? Okay. All right. Let's see. David, what was the moment in your life when you realized you wanted to get into editing and directing?
I remember it very clearly. I was home after my freshman year of college, and my buddy who was in the like he was in the drama track, or he had recommended a movie to me, Miller's Crossing by the Coen brothers, and I rented that, and my uncle mentioned a movie called The Unbelievable Truth by Hal Hartley. And Hal Hartley is this low budget filmmaker from Long Island where I grew up, and he made like movies for $90,000. This was his first movie. And I watched them both the same day, and I was like, wow. I like literally, like as I finished one movie, I was like, it was probably Miller's Crossing. I was like, that's so cool. Like they had control over everything. And then after I watched the Hal Hartley movie, I was like, oh man, you can do this on the weekend with your friends. I thought. I was not right, but I was like, that's what I want to do for a living. Like that looks like so much fun to do for a living. And so that was the moment. It was like, one of the first days of summer break after freshman year of college.
At Harvard.
Okay.
At Harvard.
Danielle's like, not gonna let go of that.
Danielle's not gonna let you live that down.
Yeah, no. Danielle,
Alex,
this
you
one
wanna
is. Oh, sorry.
Oh,
I
go
was
ahead.
asking one more Danielle, and then we can each ask a question from each one. This one is
Go
from
for it.
Your Promises 17. We
Mhm.
have been wishing for Mason's return to Station 19 for years, but never anticipated him returning in this way. How did you feel when you read the script and saw that Mason was so brainwashed and full of hate? Would you have preferred to save Mason?
I think if the show had gone on longer, there would have been the opportunity to have that storyline play out. And yes, I was very excited for Mason to come back. I was gunning for Cameron to come back for years.
I know. I was like, where am I going?
Like I tried every year at the beginning of the season, we would pitch what storylines we wanted at every time. Because I knew they were going to do Marina storylines that we would love and have a great time with. But I was like, please bring Mason back, please. And then they did do the one, but they did a flashback. And it was like, they were like, we need a younger Mason. I was like, come on, just bring back Cameron. We can make him
Wow.
look
Why
younger.
do you think they said no? Like, why do you think they said no? Because from the beginning, I was like, there's so much story there. Like, I kept expecting it. I was surprised it didn't happen sooner. And you were trying for it. And what?
There was someone very high up that just didn't want to do a sister-brother storyline. They were very, for personal reasons, from what I understood, had no desire to do a sister-brother storyline. And I didn't really understand why. So I just kept pushing.
Got it.
I mean, listen, it sucks that I love that it was the beginning and the end. You were with us at the beginning, you're with us at the end, but it would have been a beautiful storyline to have played out. And I've talked to David about this. I think I talked to you about this, David, right? Like, to have hope that eventually Cameron would have come around and like seen things from obviously Maya's perspective and walked away from the white supremacist and
Oh my God.
and
that was my intention when we were making this, when we were shooting it. I was like, if there's a season 8, like, I want people to be heartbroken that she has to cut him off and that there would be a future there. Yeah.
And Cameron, me and Cameron talked about this. I fought really hard to get Cameron at least in, oh God, I can't spoil the final episode, to get Cameron. When is this airing? When are we putting this up in the world? The final episode, there's stuff that hints at the future. And I fought really hard because Cameron and I had talked about this.
Oh, yeah.
Having Cameron in those future scenarios. And I tried, and it was actually the writer's room was actually split basically down the middle. Like, half said, no, absolutely not. Like, it needs to show that she doesn't need him in her life. And then the other half were like, no, but it gives hope. And I was on that, like, yes, like, Maya has no contact with anyone in her family because no one accepts her for who she is or the life she's chosen to live, and they don't agree with it. And like, let people out there that struggle with that same dynamic believe that there's hope, that eventually down the line, maybe there was some conversations or something could have happened and forgiveness and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, I remember talking to some of the writers and they were like, no, we need to hate him. I was like, I know we need to hate what he's saying, but I think it's a mistake. If you're really saying we need to hate him, I wasn't going to listen to them anyway, but we were having an argument about this very thing. Like, so I think some of the writers were like, no, F that guy. He went to the dark side. He can't come back. And yeah.
And all of us, we like the people that actually shot the scene didn't feel that way at all, unless I'm speaking for you, Karen. Like, all of us were
I when we talked about it, I was like, I should realize, you just say something in the moment and then you're told the same thing over and over and over again, but the way you hear it, it just clicks for the first time. I always thought that the way you delivered your final moment was like, I played it like I heard it for the first time. I thought that then I would go and like knock on your door and say, I'm sorry. Like, because it would have clicked.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted that too. I was like, oh my God, that would be so romantic and great. And like, it's so profound and hopeful.
It's a perfect
and like
world. Yeah.
Yeah. I think sometimes at least the way the world has gone, like I need that. I need shows and movies to do that more than I thought that I did. Like sometimes I watch these darker films and I'm like, wow, the acting is stunning. And I want to go home and go to sleep now, and I feel like sometimes I lean more towards like, oh, way more than I used to.
It made me feel good about the world.
Yeah.
I will say that in my director's cut, there's a different last shot of Mason. It's the one that falls off and you see the tread on me sign. And I don't know why it was changed. I never talked to Peter or the editors about it, but I'm now wondering, like, was it to make him less sympathetic or something? I don't think so. I don't think it was. I think it was for timing or something. I think because the thing like took too long to rack or something. But there was a different last shot, and you see that he like he's even feeling more regret, I think.
Yeah,
I would have loved to have seen that.
Yeah,
what were you gonna say, Cameron?
Yeah, and the way
I think I would have loved to have seen that too.
Yeah, the way you filmed that,
we all
David,
would have.
I think we all like the way you had Maya walking towards the camera, and then you could still see that back door. I think all of us kind of had a little bit of hope that maybe he was just through the door and be like, never mind. So.
Yeah, I mean, she did it so many ways when she was leaving, so many different, and all of them were great. And I think the editor picked that take, whereas like it takes her a while to leave. Like she doesn't really want to leave, and anyway. And there was more. There was a whole walk down the thing that got cut out for time, and then she falls out of focus and everything. But you know, my editor's cut was 6.5 minutes over, so I didn't get to use it.
Did you give it to Peter at 6.5 minutes over? I think I forgot.
Yeah, it was given to me at 12.5 minutes over, and I took out so much without like really lifting a line. But if anything, I swear to God, I think Peter extended your scenes, because I had the first scene cut faster. The first scene, because I know Peter talked to me about like, you know, Maya's character is she's suffered abuse and she's like hyper vigilant, like watching out for stuff. So like, whereas I made the very first scene just a rat-a-tat-tat to go as fast as possible to the spill of the oil. He stopped and he let you calculate your next beat, your next question, your next statement every time he shut you down. So honestly, I think of all the stuff that I turned over, your scenes actually got longer, whereas and nothing else did.
That's shocking because that never happens, but so interesting.
But I think they really like.
I mean, we loved doing them. We have so many things to talk about that scene. But I think I answered the question to go back to you, Tiffany. Sorry. I think it was like, I definitely wanted Mason back. I definitely tried for years. We kind of hinted at why. I did not expect the storyline that I read when I read it. Like when I heard he was a white supremacist and this whole thing, but I was like, cool if it wasn't our final season. But I do miss the fact that because it's our final season as of now, unless Amazon, hey, give us a call. But like, with that in mind, that it might be the final season or is the final season, it's hard to be like, oh, this is how that's going to end. So I really would have loved to have been able to see it play out. So when I found out it was happening this way and it was the final season, I didn't love that, but I was so excited to play with Cameron, and David let us play like completely play, because we shot it like a play, which you have basically done a play, Cameron. I mean, I think we both can say at this point we've done a play.
Honestly,
that was my first play.
Yeah,
it was such an exercise in trust to like, and David, thank you, and because Danielle and I were like, we got to do this all in one go. We got to. We have to take the train.
I was literally never disagreeing, but like I feel like the production people couldn't envision us actually completing it in a day. They thought we were going to go over. They didn't think we would be able to shoot it all the angles. There were just so many pages. So they were trying to convince me not to, even though I knew in my heart, you guys were right. So yeah, I agree with you from the start. I was just trying to be like look rational to the production people.
No, you were the champion of it. You were the champion. It was awesome. Like we couldn't have done it without all of us together. Like it was honestly one of my favorite days on set.
We scheduled it for one day. I was not the champion. She was the champion of shooting it all as one.
I was a little pushy. Yeah.
No, it was good.
Yeah. No. This is what we're doing.
You were right. And it turned out that the way that set was laid out, like it worked out that we could have 3 cameras shooting at the same time all the time. So it really made it possible.
Yeah, it worked around that kitchen basically, right? The island kind of allowed us to do that.
It was really good.
Awesome.
We could hide a camera behind the island and in the kitchen, and anyway, they did a great job.
It was amazing.
Beautiful.
It's hands down probably one of my favorite scenes, especially from this season.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Phenomenal.
Oh,
okay, so I'll go next. My question is for Cameron. What is your most challenging role you've done thus far?
My most challenging role, to be honest, I said this to Danielle. There's 2 parts to that question. One, Dahmer was probably the most challenging set because the weight, like there was no laughing. None. Like that for a while starts to become like, oh my God, this is heavy. And like, I think it was also an awareness of how real it all was, that it presented itself as our responsibility to kind of like carry these true stories to the best of our ability. So you felt the pressure more than I think anything else that I had done. But shooting the scene in Station 19 was the biggest workout. That was 10 or 11 pages that we shot. We did pickups. David did pickups to get some pieces, but the way you had it laid out, we really went from page 1 to page 11 15, 16 times.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this
Wow.
is the stamina that actors talk about, where in the theatrical sense, you can't just be good for 15 seconds. Like, we really had to allow and trust, and because you get a note on one line on page 6, but you had to start over and carry that through. Like, that was probably one of the hardest acting exercises. I was really glad to have Danielle and David like as allies, because I think when I really was like, yeah, let's do it all in one go, and then I went, oh shit, we got to do this all in one go.
I honestly did the same thing. I was like, I fought so hard for this. Was this a good idea? Oh shit.
It was by far, like, I felt that was the most proud I think I've ever left the set.
Aww.
Yeah. I felt like that was like, oh wow, like I acted, I did it. Because a lot of the stuff I've done is like, yeah, you shoot a page here and a page there. That was like, oh my gosh, this was a roller coaster.
It's
Well,
very
again,
hard to
you guys
access-
knocked it out.
Sorry.
You guys knocked it out of the park. Absolutely. Like,
Thank you.
I just in awe.
And that's rare for us on the show in general. Like that is not something that happens every day. We usually shoot in pieces too, to the point where you never get to really dig your teeth in. So, but anyways, Cameron, that's awesome. I feel so like honored to be a part of like one of your big things that you're.
Me too.
Yeah, honestly, I called my mom after, and I was like, because she said the same thing. My mom's been a script supervisor. She's done the dramatic long form. She's done the quick procedurals. She's done movies, all of it. And I was like, Mom, I did this thing. And she was like, wow. Because she said the same thing as you, Danielle. She's like, in her experience, they don't give the actors the space to do that many pages at one time usually. They just can't. So she was also like, oh my God, I can't wait to see it. And she was so proud of the work we did too. And like, it was just really, it was like, and we started the year because we shot this in January. It's like the best start to 2024.
I said it was the highlight of my year. I told Cameron, I said, this is the rehearsal and shoot has been the highlight of my year easily so far. And I don't think it's going to be.
Same.
Yeah.
Absolutely same.
Yeah. Same. Actually, same, guys. This is awesome.
That's so
Look
sweet.
at us.
Look at y'all blush.
Okay, so my next question is for David. This comes from Cecilia. How was your Canes experience, and can we expect more work from you in festivals?
Oh, my Cannes experience. That was amazing. That's a throwback. But
You've been to Cannes?
well, my USC. You didn't know that? I usually let that slip.
David, we've had so many conversations. Like, I've lost track of how many conversations
But
we've
they're
had.
usually about
Harvard,
the work.
Cannes.
Or they're usually about the work. No, my USC thesis film, which is all in Japanese, won the short film Palme d'Or at the 2001 Cannes Film Festival, and I got to,
David,
what?
like,
It didn't come
whatever.
up, I guess. I don't know, but anyway, it's been a while. I don't like living on past glory, but yes, it was amazing. My whole family came with me. I was just a young punk out of USC Film School, so I was like 26, 27. All right, yeah, no, whatever. And maybe a little older. Anyway,
Doesn't matter.
But it's amazing. I don't know if you guys ever been to Cannes, Le Croisette? Have you been? You guys got to go. It's amazing. And I was there.
Like, yeah, we hope one
No,
day.
Yeah. I'm definitely, you know what? I'll call him.
I call him. No, I mean, it's ready to go. But when I got there and I had to bring a tux, but I forgot my bow tie. So like I bought a bow tie that you can just hook on at the last minute, and I ran because I got there for this movie. This is by this Japanese director that I love, Hirokazu Koreeda, and he had a new movie, and it was premiering there, and I wanted to go see it in the main Palais, and I ran up late, and you run up the red carpet after everybody else has gone in, and you go in, and the movie's 2 hours long, and then they turn the lights on, and you're in the biggest theater you've ever seen in your life. It was insane, and we didn't even have the screening of the shorts in that building. It was in the building the Claude Debussy Theater, which is the blue carpet theater, and we screened my movie there, and I had accidentally scratched the print I was checking the French subtitles on a Steenbeck. You guys, I don't know if you know about this, but like you edit on film, and when I was there in film school, and we would only use work prints. You would never put your final print there because it could get scratched. But I was so stupid. I was just checking to make sure that the French subtitles were on, because they had to have French subtitles to screen there. And so I had there, and they put the English subtitles up too. But I had scratched the whole thing, and all these scratches are in the middle of the thing. And my short film is supposed to take place in 1933 Tokyo. But I'm watching the scratches. They finished the screening, and I'm like, oh no. I was like, did you see all the scratches? And this person next to me, one of the other filmmakers, was like, oh, I thought that was on purpose to make it look like a 1933 film, like all purposely damaged. I was like, oh yeah.
That's so great. What a happy accident.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Tilda Swinton gave me the Palme d'Or, and the Cannes Festival people kind of accidentally tipped that I was gonna win an award ahead of time. Like they're like there's gonna be a dinner, a governor's dinner or something for the winners afterwards, and then they turned to me, like, do you have a tuxedo? And I was like, what? No. And I was like, oh my God, they must be. And then they sat me on the aisle, and they wanted to make sure, and I wanted to go to the bathroom. They're like, you can't go to the bathroom. Like, we'll or do you need what? Don't go. They didn't want me to leave. They were afraid I was going to leave the theater early or something. And I was like, oh my God, I'm getting an award. And I didn't know which award. And they gave out like the third prize, the second prize. And then Tilda Swinton, she's like, did you have any idea? And I was like, and she, oh my God, you're speechless. It's priceless. And I got to meet David Lynch afterwards, and he was like, he's like, congratulations on your award. And I was like, congratulations on yours. It was pretty trippy.
That's wild.
That's awesome.
That's one of the best memories of my life. Yeah. Thanks for asking about it.
You're now speechless. This never happened.
Speechless, David. I'm kind of pissed at you that you've never told me these things. It's not like we just sit around and don't talk to each other. Like, we've had a lot of conversations, and like, how the hell were we so lucky at Station 19 to get you? Like,
exactly.
What the hell?
So cool.
David.
The money's on the screen, man. Come on.
I cannot wait to watch your short film, and congratulations, David.
Thank you.
That is amazing. Holy moly, I am speechless.
Yeah, I'm like blown away. I'm like,
it's time to make another one. I don't like living on past glory. It's time to make something.
We can all work together again. Let's make another one, David.
All right,
we're available.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
So, Elena, I guess that's asked Danielle, how do you get yourself ready for the intense emotional scenes?
Oh boy, it depends on what intense emotional scene. The one where David made me bawl my eyes out every single take with Beckett.
I felt really bad, like I was torturing you.
You kind of were.
You were like, what level are we at? I'm like, I think we need. Oh.
Yeah, because I kept, when you're doing these scenes, Cameron, you can attest to this, is like, you're like, what is the shot? Like, I don't want to not give it for to the person that I'm working with, but also like, David, you want me bawling my eyes out every take. Eventually, I'm not going to be able to cry 4 hours.
Like, you run out of water. Like, it's just how it goes.
Yeah.
It's just physically not possible. So I was like, so can you see, like, is it working? You're like, yeah. I'm like, every single angle that we shot at, you were like, I see you. And I was like, I have to bawl my eyes out in to the end. We're like watching the episode, David, there's that last shot where my eyes are like bloodshot, and it looks like I've been crying for hours because I had at that point been crying nonstop. like hyperventilating, crying in a corner for hours.
Like, I really think this is why actors like Danielle make such good directors, because they know what the actors have to go through. Like, I'm like sitting there taking it for granted, and it's like, because I haven't had to do the other job. Every other job on set I did through film school, but not that. And it's magic, and I take it for granted. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I love it's you, David. So I'll always be there for you. That's why I'm like, David, what do you need? So scenes like that are very difficult because you have to be in an emotional state, which I had what season did I get 5150? Season 5? Season 6? Something?
Six.
Season 6. I can't
Six.
remember anymore. Like that was obviously to stay in that headspace for episode after episode. Like if it's really deep like that, you have to just go there and think horrible thoughts and listen to like music that makes you sad and do all the things. For other little scenes, like the scene, if you're talking about like a dramatic scene like I did with Cameron, like we just kept running it. And what's great is if you're acting with someone that's a fantastic actor like Cameron, you call action and you just go on instinct. Like, and what comes out comes out. And I think that's the gift of when you're working opposite a great actor is you have that freedom to kind of just ride the emotional wave. It's when you're coming into a scene and you're already having to be crying at the top of the scene and you're like, shit, I have to get there. So I think that answered your question, but the emotional scenes, it all depends. It's a case by case with scenes, who you're acting with, what the shots are. I mean, sometimes over the season, they're like little snippets and I'm like, okay, where am I in the snippet? Like you said earlier, we don't get to shoot like a play. And like, where am I in the emotional place of this snippet? But I think
So like in a bathroom scene, did you have to like bring up a horrible sense memory every time to get going?
every time. To the point, David, even the camera operators were getting mad at one point. They were like, why are they doing this to you? And I was like, I don't know.
We gotta do it. All right.
I was like, I love you, David.
I don't think you said love at that time.
I don't think I did, but the next day I was like, I love you, David.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You might have said, for you, David, one more fucking.
I mean, I would like to know, Cameron, is that similar to what you go through as an actor? Like, and you're doing tough scenes like that? Would you say? Because I don't know.
I feel like it's. I've been asked this question before. I feel like my answer sucks because I feel like anyone asking it wants like an answer that feels tangible. And I think kind of what you said. I've been so lucky that in the scenes where I've had to be emotional, I've just had great scene partners. I really feel like all I have to do is listen to what they're saying and accept what they're saying as if it was being said to me. And like the delivery on how you were telling me that you wanted to be a part of the family. And like, I think if you just make that real, I kind of just try to trust that it'll be what it's going to be. Although sometimes I have had like a director be like, what's going on? And I'm like, oh shit, I got to do more. And I've had to be like, oh yeah, I like your dog dies. Or it's like, you know what I mean? You try to come up with whatever works in the moment, especially if it's like 1 a.m. and you're like, it's wild. Sometimes I've cried just because I'm so tired. Like I'm not even thinking about the scene. I'm just like, I'm so beat, and that's
whatever you have to do, that's what they want.
Yeah, honestly, I just try to like be like, whatever's going to happen is going to happen on this day. And I'm around people I've been lucky that I've been around people that are kind and have helped me if it's like not fully going well.
I highly doubt it doesn't go well very often for you though, Cameron. I feel like sometimes it's just a disagreement with the creatives. Like sometimes I remember I played a victim once and like they really wanted my character to be like bawling her eyes out the whole time. And it's different, David, with you, you're like bawl your eyes out. And I was like, oh yeah, this scene makes sense to bawl my eyes out. But sometimes you disagree and you're like, I kind of disagree. I don't think this person would be bawling their eyes out. I think they'd be fighting it or whatnot. So sometimes too, it's a disagreement from a creative standpoint, but yeah.
Yeah,
like
I agree.
Yeah.
Sometimes your reaction, I think we spend so much of our life shocked, bewildered, befuddled. Like so much of it is not in the process of emotion. A lot of times we do that on our own. So when your scene is with another person, the truthful human response sometimes is nothing.
Just
because you
down.
don't know what to do. You shut down.
Yeah. And in that episode you were hormonal, like there was a reason for you to like not be able to keep it together at that point. And you also thought you were alone, and then he walked in, you know.
No, it made sense for that scene. When I asked like, how much do you want at this level, I knew I had to get there. I just was like, what's the camera angle, and when do you want me to go there?
Well, that's because everybody likes to, you know, pan. We want to tag off of Josh to you. Anyway.
Yeah. No,
my bad.
I was grateful to do it, David, and thank you for challenging me. It was a good challenge. I appreciate it.
I guess I'll go next. Cameron, tell us about how you got the. Tell us, like, it kind of leads in perfectly. How did you get the part of Mason Bishop? Like, tell us.
I mean, probably one, because Danielle looks more like my sister than my actual sister. It's like the first, like, even when I met you, Danielle, I was like, wow, like, we really do look like siblings. I even showed your picture to my actual sister, and she's like, oh wow, like, yeah, I see it. And Linda Lowy was casting, I think when I got cast in the beginning, and back when there was a room and I walked in, I remember I had, because I think I knew my character was homeless. Sometimes it's amazing what you don't know when you go into these reads and you show up on set and you're like, oh my God, I wish I knew this I mean, I'm glad I'm here, but like, I did know that my character at the time was homeless. So I walked in with like, I think I had like I stained my shirt, and I cut the sleeves off of some flannel, and I wore like ripped jeans, and I, like, back when there was a room, like, I went in and I had to read, and I did one take, and Linda was like, great. And then I left, and I was like, normally when that happens, you're like, wow, I didn't get that. I walked out, I was like, I shouldn't have stained my fucking shirt. What a stupid idea. Like, and then a couple days later, I got a phone call to show up. So
it's always when you think you screw it up.
Story. Yeah.
That's awesome. I never had asked you that story of how you got it. That's so cool.
Oh, and when I met you, do you remember, like, I auditioned with a scene that was our scene under the bridge, but the first episode I shot was not that scene. So when I met you,
what was the first scene we shot?
You found me in the police station, and I was like sleeping in the police station. But the scene I auditioned with was our subsequent episode. And I remember being like, oh, our scene is so good. And you're like, oh my God, I can't wait. Like, I remember that when we met, that moment too.
Yeah, I was very excited.
Because I got a peek behind the curtain.
Yeah. But like you, I was like, this is going to be like a thing. We're going to have like storylines with me and my brother. And nothing.
Nope.
Well, they did a great job. I'm so glad they picked you.
Me too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's so sweet of you to say. Thank you so much for saying that. Lightning has to strike twice in the same spot to get a job. So that really means a lot that you just said that. Thank you.
For David, basically, a lot of fans want to know more about the editing process. And when you're picked to direct, do you get to pick what episodes, or do they just tell you, hey, you're directing 7 and 4 or whatever?
They just tell you, and sometimes it changes a few times during the year. I think the biggest episodes will go to the in-house producing director, you know, the Paris Barkley or the Tessa Blake or Peter. But so they'll get like the premiere and the finale, and then everything else is based mostly on like the schedules of the people that they want to fit in. Maybe they want to pair a certain cinematographer with a newer director. That happened to me this year. Like, they considered me more experienced as a director, and I was honored. And so they gave the DP who spends a lot of time like helping out new directors. They wanted to make sure that he was working with them, and so they moved me around a couple of times. But basically, they just tell you. Yeah.
And how does the editing process go for you?
Well, I whatever these guys shoot the day before, I put together my first pass of whatever they shot the day before by the end of the next day, and then I put it away, and then after I do that for the entire shoot, I spend about 3 days polishing all those scenes, and my assistant puts sound effects on them, and I sort of direct the music editor to put score from previous episodes on, and we try to make it look like a finished, polished thing that we hand off to the director. Director comes in for 4 days, gives their notes. We hand off the director's cut to, basically, in this case, Peter Page. He's like the producer who's in charge of all the edits and showrunner, and he gets it down to time and makes a lot of the final decisions. And then we hand it off to Shondaland to get the final pass of notes, because technically Shondaland has the right to final cut. So they make the final decisions, but really most of the decisions are made by Peter. And that's based on what he wants to see, or how we have to unfortunately cut some stuff out just to get it to 42 minutes, 19 seconds, and 12 frames. And it was a little bit harder this year because even though the scripts were amazing, the episodes are amazing, they actually were coming, maybe it's because they were longer. Like this season, a lot of the first passes were coming in way longer than they could air at compared to earlier seasons.
This one is for Danielle. It says, "Baby Brooklyn is adorable. Was Liam's crying right after your crying part scripted, or did little Brooklyn herself add this to the script, being unplanned crying at that moment?"
I mean, I think David could probably speak more on this. Brooklyn, she knows when she needs to cry. She knows when she's supposed to be like calm. Like that girl's already a star.
That was 100% scripted. Like Danielle was supposed to be crying. I mean, Maya was supposed to be crying, and she was supposed to start crying because mommy was crying, and then Stefania had to calm them all down. That was scripted, and she's just a great actor and knew what was needed for the scene.
Exactly. And Brooklyn, she just knew. She's like, I'm supposed to cry. Got it. But it was
so we thought maybe like you were crying, and then all of a sudden the baby was like, "Oh no, Danielle's crying. I need to cry."
She happened
Like,
to come in crying that day. Like she was crying. Usually she's only on that day. Every other day she's the sweetest, happiest baby, and she came in a tizzy. She's so method. That's what I joked with her dad. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it was hard. I think we only did 2 takes with her, right, David? And then the rest was with.
Right. Well, that's because you don't have much time with a little baby. But
yeah,
I was watching very carefully, and I was like, we'll just ADR it. Like, yeah, because like all of Stefania's lines in that one take are ADR because the baby's just blasting right into her mic.
Yeah, that's what I was like. I remember there was like, because we did the scenes without her crying, and then with her crying, we're like, screaming over the screaming baby.
And I got into the editor, and the editor had tried to sneak in all these shots of the doll, and I was like, I know I can see the doll, you got to swap it out, and I know why the editor was doing that. They were trying to like not have to deal with like pulling audio from another take and slip it in but I was like, please, I can see the baby. We need to know that it's a real baby, and just find audio from another take, or we will ADR it. And that's what we had to do in some cases.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So this is for Cameron. This is from Mama Erin. When they called you to come back this season, was it after the cancellation had been announced or before?
I think it was after. I think I had heard that this was going to be the final season, and that they were interested in kind of, tying up all the storylines that they could. And that I think I got a call like a little bit before Christmas time, that they were like, "Hey, we're thinking about doing this," but it wasn't a guarantee. So I was like, "Don't tease me. Don't tease me right now." They were like, "Yeah, they're not." It wasn't like it was an acknowledgement of dates, but it wasn't like a offer to do it immediately. And then the new year started, and that's when it became like a real thing. And I was like, yes. But it was like an interesting waiting period, because I feel like, especially for actors, you get one whisper of good news and you are an obsessive maelstrom, just a whirling dervish and then that is impossible to deal with because you're like, do they call? Do they call? Are they calling? Do they call? So it was like longer than I wanted it to be weight wise, but it was something to look forward to. So I was like glad to have gotten that.
Well, we're glad too. So
Yeah, for sure.
Thing that I think that they were planning the storyline before we knew it was canceled, if that's any consolation. Like we had been basically when the new showrunners took over, I again was like, when is this happening? And everybody's like, we want it to happen. So as far as I knew it was gonna happen regardless, and then we found out, which sucks. Because I think if we had found out sooner, we could have actually wrapped up the storyline versus ended the way it did. Anyways,
Right.
had to happen.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't
No,
mean
I
to-
love that.
Do you have any headcanons on what led Maya to join the fire department?
This cannons thing. I've heard of like basically it's filling the blanks is the way I put it, right, guys? It's like,
Yeah.
why didn't she get to where she was at? And I was like wondering if how that would have been. I think Maya was someone after the Olympics was probably struggled with what she wanted to do with her life because her whole life had been running. I think she was someone that probably like what is it called? Lended her time, volunteered. I was like, what is that word? She volunteered at probably like young girls camps to like train to help fitness, whatever. And I think that in an ideal world, I think if we would have ever done a flashback, like Pruitt was someone that probably saw her potential and was like, have you ever thought about firefighting? And kind of that's what led to it. Because I think she was probably pretty lost after the Olympics. When you dedicate your whole life to something, when you realize like, okay, I'm now too old to do this. I can't do it anymore. What do you do?
Right.
And I think, and I want to believe in a perfect world, my headcanon would be that somehow she was volunteering and Pruitt spotted her potential and was like, have you ever thought of firefighting? And the rest is history. That would be my headcanon for sure. I'm interested to hear. I'm sure there's a million versions that fans have come up with about how she became a firefighter. That's actually a cool thing too, like a cool concept if she had been someone who witnessed a fire or someone close to her had a fire destroy everything. And then she had that kind of, that's actually a cool concept and idea too.
I got one for you, David. What is your favorite scene from 707 and the hardest scene to film in 707?
My favorite scene is the one that I tortured Danielle to do. It's the bathroom scene. I think that one hits the hardest. That look on her face after Josh tells her she's making a great mom. That's my favorite scene. The hardest scene for me to shoot, that was the hardest scene for Danielle to shoot. The hardest scene for me to shoot was the goddamn van explosion because you never have enough time on Station 19 to get all the shots you need when you're on location and you're doing a big fire incident. So it turned out fine. It turned out great. And it actually got cut down more than anything. Like some of them, even though we barely had enough time to shoot there, some of my best stuff at the location just got cut out of the show. You guys never saw it, but that was the hardest one. We were just running against the clock to the sun was going down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I have another important question from the fandom.
Yeah.
After seeing it from pictures into on the actual episode, the comforter was not that bad.
Oh, Jesus. That company is burnt. Burnt and going away. Everyone I have very strong feelings about that comforter and needs to go away.
Will we ever see the comforter again?
No, I burned it. I stole it from set and I burned it. I just don't understand. Cameron, I don't know if you know about this. This is like our
I
show.
don't.
Maya had this comforter, then obviously Karina moves in with Maya. They still have this comforter, and it's just like not representative of either of their personalities at all. And I personally,
She
I don't
had
have
the same bed sheets for 6 years.
Yeah, and it's like if I walked into somebody else's house that I was a friend, I would never like judge their comforter like this. But as a character, I was just like, why? And then we moved into a new house, so we're like, yes, no more. And like the fans have been very passionate about the old comforter, and it just happened to fall on Stefania's directorial debut episode. And I walk into set of this new house that Maya and Karina had bought, and the comforter is worse than the first one. And I literally, like, the first words out of my mouth was like, I looked at Stefani because usually the directors are the ones that pick like all those new things that are introduced in an episode. And I was like,
Yeah.
wow, why did you pick this? And she goes, I didn't pick it. I didn't pick it. So I was like, okay. But I remember we finally, I think in Tess's episode, which hasn't aired yet, there's another scene in the bedroom and we literally were like, I was like, can we just take the comforter off? We don't need a comforter on the bed. Just sheets. That's all we need is sheets.
Sheet. Just
So,
flat sheets.
That's so funny. The haunting
yeah.
of the comforter.
Oh, the comforter. It's the little things, especially when like you played a character for so long and you're like, why? Like, why did someone not talk to us first?
Have you ever strongly disagreed with a line or wardrobe that isn't Maya?
No.
Never.
Be honest.
For the most part, wardrobe, I have to separate the fact that I am not Maya. So a lot of times there might be something that I don't necessarily love, but I'm like, would Maya wear this? And I do that sometimes with scenes. I'm like, would Maya do this? There's only been one day that I can recall. I'm sure like Kendall or Ramel would be like, no, you had another day where you like, I'm not wearing that. But I remember actually this episode, David, it was this episode.
Really?
Oh, yes. So I'm always like, they don't let us, Maya specifically, be very like, I don't know what the word is, not sexual, but like, I can't figure it out what the word is right now. But basically my nipples are exploding, right? In this episode, my boobs are like swollen, they're sensitive, the whole freaking thing in this entire episode, I have the boob thing going on. And I was like, guys, stop putting stop putting Maya in baggy clothes. Like I always wear oversized jackets and oversized shirts and whatever layers. And I was like, can I please have like a tight shirt that makes my boobs look big? Like, please, in this one episode. So like I ask, nothing happens, right? I get my wardrobe for the day and it's like, again, a baggy sweater. And I was like, guys. So David didn't even know. I basically like kind of held up going to set because I was like, can we please just give me some options. Give me a tight fitting shirt. And then we ended up wearing a tight fitting shirt that I was like, see that? I don't know if you felt that way, David. Sorry to add this like conversation about my boobs, but like I felt that.
On Thailand show, they usually cut the director out of wardrobe unless we go out of our way to like, weasel our way into it. But I didn't know any of this.
Yeah. So I was very adamant about a tight fitting shirt to really play into the boob storyline. You're welcome, David.
That's great. I'm glad you're thinking about these little details. Thank you.
Well, I remember too, like the exploding nipples was such a big thing that David, you do have to discuss the donuts and the exploding nipples. But to just
Well, that
answer
was
your
going to be
question,
the next question.
I don't. Yeah, he needs to add in the whole exploding nipples. And like David, I loved it. You were so excited about the exploding nipples and the
Very
donuts.
excited because I'm a 13-year-old boy at heart. Yes. I actually got to write a sequence on Station 19. The writers were just like, I was like, this is my pitch. You got to come up with a theme or a stylistic connection for your montages. And I was like, I don't know why everybody else didn't think of it, because it's in the script 15 times that the Bombolini look like exploding nipples. And I was like, if they look like exploding nipples, then they're gonna be breasts in this match. I don't know why, but I thought of Austin Powers, that sequence in Austin Powers where like they're about to say that's where the idea came from. And then I got so excited, and then I was like, nobody's gonna let me do this. They're gonna be like, it's too juvenile, it's too broad
for it, right?
no. So but I was like, and that was the idea, that shot of Ben's hands going to grab the Bombolini. And then I had to come up with other match cuts for the rest of it. But I got really excited, and I pitched it to Michelle Salcedo, who was shadowing me, and I don't know if she seemed to laugh. I also pitched it to Darren. Darren loved it, of course.
Of course, Darren loved it.
Of course, Darren's he's like an 11-year-old boy. He thought it was hilarious, and I was all excited. I was like, but once I tell Kia or Peter, they're gonna be like, I don't know. So then I went in, I sat down, and I told Kia first because we're friends, and she was like, "It's pretty good. You seem really excited about it. You should tell it to Peter." And I was like, finally, they made me pitch it to Peter, and he was like, "I love it, but I'm gonna need you to get an alt in case ABC or Shondaland or I have a second I have a change of heart. I need a way to cut around the hands to the Bombolini. And so and then Michelle Salcedo, my shadow, who's an actual director too, she said something about the blindfold. So I made sure that the alt was going to be Bailey's
Robe.
robe would cover the camera, and so I made sure that they were the exact same color the ribbon that was on the Bombolini box, and it just turned out that was also the color of the blindfold in 50 Shades of Grey. I didn't know, but so we were all set. So we have it. We have one where the blindfold goes going on
the camera lens.
The tight shot of Danielle where the thing covers the camera, but we never needed to use it because I got my Bombolini shot. I saw online some people were upset by the Bombolini shot. They thought it was too juvenile. I was like, I don't care.
I loved that the whole episode was just talking about boobs and Bombolinis.
And you're so funny when in that scene with Jay when he does bump into boobs in that first scene. It's so funny. Like you're like, huh? Fantastic.
Danielle, what did you take from the set? We mentioned this before, but what did you actually take?
In the end, they basically gave us everything or made us pay for it. So I purchased some stuff. David shot.
Made you pay for
like
it?
Alicia the other day was like, oh, you got to keep your hard jacket. And I was like, I mean, I paid for it, but yeah. So some stuff in the end, I was like, I'll just pay for it. Just tell me what they want for it. And most of it was like half price stuff, but we got given the name tag on the back of our turnouts. So I got the Bishop name tag. I got my helmet, which was one of the hardest decisions because they said, do you want your lieutenant helmet or your captain helmet? And I struggled really hard with that decision. Also just on like preference, because I was like, I kind of like the red better, but I want the captain helmet, which is orange. So I ended up going with the captain helmet in the end. And then what else do we get to keep? Oh, I have I was given my rubber axe because it was such a pivotal. I didn't get the physical heavy one because Shondaland actually wanted my axe, which was pretty cool. So Shondaland has it in their archives. And then I got the rubber one. What else? But I did accidentally, and I guess you can't say I stole it because I didn't mean to, is the rubber silicone ring. I went home with it that day. We all just wrapped and started drinking champagne, and I went home and I was like, oh, I have this ring on my finger. So I have that. I put it in a little keepsake box, but I didn't get the actual gold ring. So just, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Not bad. Let's see. For Cameron from KK, through the scenes with Maya, there are very slight, or how did you word this? There are very slightly moments where it looks like Mesa isn't all hate and anger, but then he immediately shifts back to the defensive anger and hurtful language. What was your process to prepare for the scenes? You so subtly shift. What did it feel like to speak those lines? That's a long question. Sorry.
No, I think honestly, like what was I think one of the most helpful parts of like I think this answers the question was that we got to like rehearse. I got a call from my agent. They're like, hey, they need you for rehearsal. And I don't know why I was like, oh shit, am I in trouble? Like, because you just like it never happens that you're just it's when something feels so abnormal somehow, even though as an actor you're built on like rehearsing for plays or doing your rehearsals for acting class or whatever. It's just it doesn't happen. And we spent I don't know like a couple hours I think on the lot reading the scenes and having one-on-ones with David, and like that really kind of grounded anything that I had in my head for the time between from when I was there to showing up again, what could have happened and what could have transpired. And like, I feel like it really does remind you how amazing the rehearsal process is and how much confidence it can give you because you have the chance to try it on and you don't have to worry about, oh, I don't have enough time to do this option on set. I should just like do what's here. And to the point of making decisions on some things not being so hateful, it's interesting to be able to play with that. But I really attribute that to the space that we had to like rehearse together, which never happens.
David, you should touch on that because I talked to you about this yesterday. Yeah.
I think one of the key things we did in that rehearsal was we did, the writers also, I want to say, like, I pushed the writers to make his words more hateful. Like he wasn't, I don't think the character in the first draft I got was that vicious. And I was like, it just needs to be worse, because I don't see Maya's character cutting her only brother off. And in my mind, they must have had a good relationship, defending each other from their dad. So I need him to be worse in order to justify that we understand that he's really cut him off. And so they did that. But what we did was, and I also said, I don't know, they came back with this story of the mouse, the mouse funeral. And you guys, I took this amazing directing class in November. Everybody, it was called Directing Actors, and it's taught by Brad Barnes in LA. And his guru is Adrian Weiss. And we went through a whole bunch of rehearsal techniques. And I literally read my notes from that class the morning before we did this rehearsal. And one of them was like, if it's a rough scene, like go improvise the scenes of love. And so we improvised the mouse funeral, like from the moment that Mason comes in, young Mason comes in and shows the dead mouse to Maya. And these guys were amazing. Like, I was getting all choked up. They transformed, they were playing younger, and they went through a whole series of scenes, and it was beautiful. And by doing that, the love was just always there, no matter what we did in the scene later. And I just want to give props to that class, and props to these guys for being so good at each little part of that rehearsal. And yeah, like there was magic in the rehearsal. When we did that rehearsal, I was like, this is gonna be gangbusters on set. I'm not worried for a second. And I also wanted to give Cameron a chance to like warm up to a character he hadn't played like intensely for a few, like where Danielle's been playing the same character for 7 years. Like, you can't have an athlete come in off in the middle of the season without like going like limbering up and everything. And so anyway, it was amazing. It was like, that rehearsal was actually probably my favorite hour of the year.
Thank you for that, David. Like, thanks. I give you props. Like, I know you're giving us props, but like, I was so grateful to have that rehearsal with Cameron. And like, we did get to delve into our characters and like reconnect and like play, like, which is, Cameron, you were saying, like, you just don't get to do these days. Like, you go to set, usually the rehearsal isn't really a rehearsal. And then a lot of directors now shoot the rehearsals. So you're basically discovering a scene. I mean, you do your work on your own, but the actual time you get with the actor you're working with in the scene usually happens in real time. And then sometimes you walk away from a scene and you're like, I could have done that this way. I now see like a different version of how I could have played it. So like, David, thank you for giving us the space to do that. And the mouse thing was, I think that might've been the highlight. Like,
that was
just
great.
that getting to do that mouse rehearsal. Like, Cameron, really, like, did you love that too? Like,
I did. Like I said, I haven't done stuff like that. Like, in a profession, I have never done it. I've done that David. That technique is something I've learned in an acting class as well. When I'm reading a scene for my own notions as to, what's underneath the line. So like you said, it takes care of itself. There's so much you can do on your own, but there's nothing that can replace doing something like that with the person you're supposed to have the history with. So that when that scene comes up, when we were shooting it, you're hearing it way differently, because your body doesn't know that you're acting. You just feel the emotional response or the emotional triggers of like, oh my God, when she was so nice to me about this, it triggers something in your body. And I think like David, as you said, warming up to the character, the rehearsal, I think, just gave me the confidence to just let it all go and not have to worry about like, oh my God, wait, what did I do 5 years? It didn't matter, because we established even deeper than 5 years by doing those rehearsals. So it really was invaluable. Like it was you just don't get that. Like it's amazing anything is good. Like it's actually like astounding to me.
11, yeah, I don't know how people, because you guys,
Sure.
obviously these people are professionals and they can make it always look good, but when they hand you an 11-page scene that you know is the centerpiece of the show, like, let's make sure we give it the time it needs to make it good. And yeah, that's all.
Yeah, and scheduling that rehearsal too, like, talk about making you feel valued, you know, that your time is valued, your energy, your efforts. Like if anybody's going to take the time out of their day, Danielle, you were in between shooting. Like for all of us to get there, and it's just like you can't replace that level of passion and caring for anything, you know. And that was like the times even coming from the previous, you know, years to now, like you guys really did establish quite a family there that like would take the time to do that, and producers were showing up and sitting in, and like it was just really, it was lovely.
Yeah,
That's fun.
Mhm.
Alex,
You
I
guys-
want to add too.
sorry,
were you saying?
I gotta step away. I gotta make some
Okay.
dino because I'm like a single dad. Be right back.
Okay.
Alex, I want
Okay.
I just want to add that also those nuances and subtleties were because Cameron is such a fantastic actor. I'm gonna toot his horn.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So I just want to make sure that that's, I know he's talking about all the process and everything, but the way he was
Yeah.
able to accomplish that, in my opinion, from being an observer on the other end of those lines that you were delivering, was because he's that fantastic of an actor. So I'm
Same
gonna
to
add
you,
that.
Danielle.
Absolutely.
Honestly, same to you, and I'm not just saying that. I love that you like. I think one of the times on set you were like, "Am I get like? Do you need anything else?" Because I think actors will check in with each other when the coverage is on their fellow
Mhm.
scene partner, and they're like, "Do I need to give you anything else?" Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, "What? No." Like you just being there is enough. Like you're a very powerful presence,
Oh.
and that is like you can't teach stuff like that. That is intuition, that's instinct, and like being able to be on the train with someone like that.
Mhm.
I was like, I am better because of what you're doing. I just have to simply be present.
The feeling is mutual. So this is
Oh.
good. If only we had had more
Aw.
scenes together.
I know.
Oh.
And then-
Danielle, this question is for
Yeah.
you. If you do not feel comfortable answering it, we will edit it. We'll edit it out. Okay.
Okay.
But I hope it's okay that we ask this question. It was included in the questions that you got.
Oh, then it's
Um,
probably fine. Yeah.
Because of your personal experience with the egg retrieval process, were you able to bring perspective into the conversations in the writing room? And how was that, being able to just kind of bring that in from your personal life into the acting world? How was that?
So, I mean, I think that scene was so perfectly written. What's great about pumping yourself full of hormones is you actually don't know how you're going to react. I personally was just very happy emotional when I was doing the egg retrieval process. So I was just like
Okay.
crying at all the happy things. I was like, oh, it's such a beautiful day, guys. Like, very different than how Maya was, because Maya was all over the place. But my gosh, was those scenes so much fun. Like when I got the written scene, sorry, I'm talking about technically Boris's episode, David. But when I got that scene about the grape jelly and like I feel like a bloated chicken coop, and like just the lines were so absurd that I just got free range to be like, they called action, and I was just like, I get to be all over the place. So that was when I got to really like be unhinged, I would say, is what Emily likes to call it. Every time she sees that scene, she's like, you are fully unhinged. And I'm like, it was amazing. I loved it. But the stuff in David's, it was more like the emotional side of it, which leaned more of what I understood, because I was more emotional, but I was more happy emotional, where Maya was a little more sad emotional. So I could relate to it in the sense that, like, I think even just being a woman in general, we have different hormones, and like then just amplify that to the point where you're pumping yourself full of those hormones. Yeah, it was like David said, that scene with Beckett, I was able to go all the way there because I didn't fight it. I didn't sit there and go like, why am I so emotional? Because I knew pumping myself full of hormones, that's how emotional I would be. And I think every person that I know that's done it has been that emotional, but it varies.
That
So,
line
yeah.
will go down in infamy, though. The get in line with it, Beckett. because I'm an
Yeah.
egg factory. That line was so funny.
Yeah, it was so much fun to shoot that scene. Oh, it was so much
Yeah.
fun.
How many-
But how do you, okay, discuss specific techniques that or approaches that you use when you're creating tension or building up suspense in scenes, especially like the mediation that Karina had.
Well, I think the tension comes from the performance and then the editing. I don't know that there's so much that a director can. I mean, you could design a shot where you can't see something that you want to see, or you kind of like tension. You drag stuff out. Whereas normally when I'm editing, I'm trying to like cut time out and make everything happen faster. But when you're trying to torture the audience, you just drag it out. But I mean, I guess I don't know that I actually thought about creating tension in the arbitration scenes. I trusted that that the actors were going to be so good that their performances were going to carry that. When I made those scenes, I focused on POV. Like when you do a Station 19 scene, often it's like you just cover it very generally, like we get a master and everybody gets their coverage and everything, but clearly Wendy and Karina were the only really important characters in that scene. Like the other people, they were great actors, but like we don't care about their stories. I'm telling it mostly from Karina's point of view, and also sometimes from Wendy's point of view, and that's all I cared about. So I designed shots that basically pushed in on those two, and I made sure the camera was, we covered Wendy from Karina's point of view, we covered Karina from Wendy's point of view, and we kind of pushed in on them, and everything else went away gradually. That's what I was doing, but I wasn't thinking about creating tension. I was thinking about creating point of view.
So fascinating.
Cameron, do you have any fun stories from shooting 703 or 707?
I think it was just like one of my favorite things, or that made me laugh the most, Danielle, was when we were running lines for 707, and you were like so charged up about like, I know this. What's the line? I think it was just like it was such a fun like two actors running lines back and forth. I don't know what it is. I think I'm such a romantic of Hollywood and filmmaking that when I've seen stills of like older actors sitting in their chair with their scripts, like I don't know what it is, but I think I kind of like come up with the story of what they were probably doing in that moment. So then when I find myself living those like BTS moments in my own career, I feel like I really cherish like the happenstance things that actors all do, whether it's warming up for a scene or running lines together. And I think that just like, Danielle, you were cracking me up. You're like, no, actually, let's skip ahead. Let's go to this other page. Wait, what was it? Like, it was just the best. It was like, it was killing me. And then, but the professionalism of like, I just had that scene. You had that scene and 50 others. Like, it was just the ease at which you worked was something that I think I kind of like took note of. That it's like the easier you are in terms of like how you are to yourself, everyone around you, like you just smooth sailing. And I think that still makes me laugh. I like be driving in my car by myself, like, oh yeah.
I have to say, just to give some context, because David, did you even come in that when you were like, yeah, keep running lines. Like,
yeah, I didn't want to get in the way. I was like, you got a lot to memorize. Just go for it. Do what you need. We had the confidence of the rehearsal. I knew you guys were going to kill it. I didn't need to sit in on that because if it was the only time to rehearse, I might have sat in and gummed up the works.
No, I'm so happy you brought that up, Cameron, because like we got to set and we fought so hard to be like, let's shoot it all as one, let's shoot it all as one. I was like, Cameron, you can do it, right? You can do it, right? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, are you sure? But really, I was asking myself. And he's like, yeah, I can. I was like, okay, I can too. I can too. So then David had to set up this shot where you basically had to plan for cameras to be hidden everywhere because we were now going to shoot it like a play. So we had a bunch of time before we actually started filming, and I basically was scared shitless and pulled Cameron into a room, and I was like, you're good, right? You'll run lines with me. So we had Cameron and our supervisor, Amanda, and we just kept running and running and running. Then Cameron's like, I have to go eat food. I was like, yes, that's right. Go have lunch. Go have lunch. I'm just going to run with Amanda. And I was like, Amanda, do you mind staying during lunch to run? She's like, yeah. I was like, okay. And I just ran those lines and ran those lines and ran those lines and tortured everybody until they called action.
And that's
It's
why
so
I asked for advice when the kid had to memorize all those lines. Like he's anyway.
Yeah. Well, yeah. When
But
you're, yes. Well, yeah.
no, I was just saying it's just like it is that with like because it's like at first you say house and then you say home and you're like house, home, is it home? No, it's house
Is it
this
house?
time, right?
House.
Like and it's just I don't know, it's just so human. Like it made me like that was just so I don't know, that was fun. I really loved running lines with you.
Yeah, I agree. It was definitely a highlight. It was like kind of the stuff behind the scenes was more like doing the mouse rehearsal and doing those rehearsals before we actually had to shoot were kind of like, they were fun. But also
Yeah.
it's like, I have to be word perfect. So you saw me like being completely crazy because like Amanda's like, it's right. You're saying the instead of whatever, like and instead of but or something. And I was like, but it has to be perfect. She's like, give yourself a break. But no, that was a lot of fun. And thanks for doing that with me, Cameron, because that was definitely a
Oh,
highlight.
always. That was so great.
Talking about conventions.
Yeah.
Um,
Look at 'em.
are you aware how fast your tickets sell out?
Oh my gosh. No, I'm not. but I
You
saw
sell
this.
out faster than Taylor Swift.
No way.
You
No
did.
way.
You
Yes.
You
did.
do.
You did.
Less than 5
Everyone
minutes, they were
loves you.
gone.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't believe that. I just
I
don't.
just want to
can't
say
believe
that we as a group had the most anxiety getting Chicago for
Are you guys
Epic.
going?
Yes. Yes.
I'm so happy to be doing a US convention finally because I know it's hard. It's hard for everyone to get that into the
Well,
United
that was
States.
going to be my follow-up question is how do you feel about the first US convention?
I'm so happy. I'm happy it finally happened and came through because I remember at some point someone bringing up Epic and I was like, I haven't heard of them. And then they reached out to Francis and I was like, yes, let's do it.
I think they
So-
reached out because we were nagging them so much to
Good.
book you and Stefania.
Good. No, I'm really excited. And I'm excited that I, can be on American soil and do it, I guess is the word I'm saying. Like get to be actually, because it's also hard. The conventions are amazing, but there's a language barrier at every single convention. And I'm sure there will be I'm sure people from over the ocean. What is that called, guys? Not over the ocean.
Pond.
What's the word?
Overseas?
Pond.
Over the pond.
The pond.
Sure. Are gonna also be coming, but I feel like it's really nice to be able to not have to have that. It's hard. It's hard to have a translator at most of these conventions and like not know exactly what everyone's saying. I love him. Best translator ever, as we can all
Yeah.
attest.
He's fantastic.
My God.
We love him
Cameron,
too.
he basically translates everything I say, which as you know, because you know me, I talk and talk and talk and talk and I ramble and ramble and I then go back to the beginning and somehow answer the question I was originally asked. And like he literally will ask me the question and he'll ask it in English and in French. And then literally I'll answer ramble and then he repeats everything I say back in French to everybody in the audience. And I am like, I always sit in awe and like applaud him because it's the most
That is
amazing
such a I've seen like that on like panels and I don't understand how.
Yeah,
Right.
neither do I.
I don't
Right.
get
But
I
it's
don't
so
even get it. I'm
memorizing
like,
and therapeutic to listen and watch.
it's
It
so
is.
cool.
And he does it effortlessly. So yeah,
Mhm.
I'm very excited for Chicago and EpicCon. I now just need there to be a Brazil one because I think the Brazil fans are going to lose their mind if there's not eventually a Brazil convention. But
Right.
but no, I'm super excited to do Chicago and I love the conventions and I'm excited to see everyone. And I do not believe that I saw faster than Taylor Swift. Like I just
You did.
Yeah.
I promise you did.
Seriously.
And
I
they
promise
didn't,
you you do.
and they didn't even announce that they were going to drop you
No,
the
they
tickets.
just
So
did it.
they just posted on Twitter. And like, if you
Oh.
didn't get it, you didn't get it. And most people were like, I didn't even know they were on sale.
Just like it happened.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Backup firefighter Green.
Yeah. I was like, for who?
You-
Which ones of us?
For you.
For
Oh.
you,
Yeah.
he texted me and he said, you have to make sure to ask Danielle this.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, why don't you ask Danielle this? But here we go. He wants to
I was
know
gonna
if
say, I
you
was
would
like,
be
why didn't Sean
interested.
just ask me on set? Yeah. Okay.
It's Sean, come on.
Yeah.
Would you be interested in playing Mystique from the X-Men?
Oh, right.
Duh. What did David say? What did you say?
No, I saw this on Twitter. I was like, that's a
You
great
saw this
idea.
on Twitter,
Like,
didn't you?
help me get the hashtag going. I was like, okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Jokingly, I told him, well, we can start a petition.
Probably.
Another
Maybe
one,
I'd be like, who is this chick that everyone wants to be Mystique?
he thinks it's the perfect part for you.
I will not object.
Yeah. The second part of his question was, he wanted you to talk a little more about the TV or the soccer TV pilot you did.
Oh my gosh. No, that wasn't like a pilot. So I don't know. David, do you know Kenny Nybart? I'm saying his last
No.
name wrong. So Phil Iskov, who I do the podcast 1999, or I can't remember the name of the podcast anymore.
90 podcast 90s.
Yeah.
1990 something podcast.
Yeah.
Podcast like it's
Podcast
1990.
like it's the 90s.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kenny and Phil do it together. Kenny and Phil are obviously writers. Kenny wrote a pilot, essentially presentation with two other writers that actually come from Shondaland, that their names are going to slip my mind right now because I just knew Kenny and I was literally just talking to them the other day with Tia. Oh, it's gonna drive me crazy. Chelsea and something else, I think. Anyways, they all wrote a pilot presentation for basically, it was kind of a female version of Ted Lasso, but not as much, more heart, a little less. I mean, Ted Lasso has a ton of heart, but less of the humor and more just of like more of a drama based or dramedy. And I loved it. And Kenny asked if I would, because I can't say no. I mean, Cameron can probably attest to this. Like, if you're an actor and you love this job, it's almost impossible to say no to friends that want you to like do anything ever. Like I have.
Yeah, you
I
just
right?
want to be helpful. Yeah.
And you want to like act and do something different. And so like, I'm starting to get to the point where I'm like having more short films of my friends like pop up on my resume because I just keep saying yes to everyone's short film. But he basically was like, will you shoot this pilot presentation? I was filming all day. I was like, I don't know what time I'm going to wrap at. They had the lights on at this soccer field in Culver City till like, the lights were going to go off at 10 p.m. I show up at like 8:30. They give me a fucking monologue. And I was like, okay. Like Cameron, you obviously the rehearsal, this was just me giving a speech. So I had nothing to bounce off at. And I was like, oh my God. They give me like tracksuit pants and a tracksuit. It was the best. It was so much fun, but I had to basically do it in the end, like in 20 minutes. They just did like, I think 4 takes of me delivering the speech. I had to bring in all the soccer girls. I'm the coach. I had to give this like motivational speech while the camera's spinning around me and not screw up line. And I'm revving people up and I'm getting excited. And I was like, and I just got off of the filming a 12-hour day, whatever it was. It was insane. It was absolutely insane, but I had a blast and I hope I get to see it at some point. Kenny's like, you'll get to see it. And I'm like, listen, after all of this, if this gets picked up and goes to series, you better be fucking hiring me. Because like,
no good deed goes on.
Yeah,
what'd you
exactly.
say?
No good deed goes unpunished.
No, but it was, regardless of what happened, it was so much fun. And it was so well written. And like, I think the best training is like being on part of Shondaland for 7 years, where like we get monologues and a lot of dialogue and a lot of character driven stuff that it's kind of been a great training ground to like prepare me for those types of things. So it was a good practice, but I can't believe he remembered that. He must've been there the day on set that I had to leave to go shoot that. David and I were making faces, they're like,
Now
the last episode may not be in reality. Something might have happened in 9. Dun, dun,
Or
dun.
injured.
What'd you say?
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun.
So speaking
I
of
have a-
short film,
Oh, sorry.
I have to ask this question since we're there. Speaking of short
go
films,
ahead.
Danielle, when are we going to be able to view your short film on a platform?
Oh my gosh. I don't know.
Because people kept asking.
First of all,
Yeah.
I'm scared shitless to make it public, to be honest, was the honest answer. And David, I can maybe talk to you about this. Like,
But why?
I
Why are
don't
you scared?
know. It feels more contained to do it in the festival circuit because
Oh.
people, I've done the festival circuit. I did all that. And now
That's
it's
already
time.
done. That's
Yeah.
already done.
So it's not even like I've been asked to continue to do like some festivals reach out. And obviously if it's public, you can't be in festivals. There's no point. But that being said, I've done the film festival circuit and now it's time to like put it on like basically Vimeo or Short of the Week. And I've hesitated and I need to kind of figure that out why. And I know a lot of people are
Do
like,
it.
can we please post it publicly so that we can all just watch it? So I will do that. The answer is I really don't know why I haven't done it yet. David's
Please
looking at
do
me
it.
giving me a
No, if the
really-
festival run is done, there's no reason not to.
Yeah.
I can
Well,
think of.
I don't know what it is. It's a very, it's a heavy film. David, have you seen my short film?
I have. I was there at the premiere. Yes, it is
That's
not
right.
it is not a
It's not a comedy.
it's not a
I haven't seen it. I want to see.
See?
Well,
See?
Maybe this will be the motivating factor, Cameron. I'll be like, okay,
Let's
Cameron,
go.
it's going public.
You
but
gotta
it will
just put it
happen.
out there. You'll be your own worst critic till the day you die.
And that's the thing. It's just opening yourself up for opinions and critiques and honestly, like I'm fine with that. I don't know why. It's just a different medium, I guess, because as an actor, we get it all the time. But I guess as a director, besides my episode of Station, which everyone seemed to love, like
Oh my god, it's so goddamn good. Like
So good.
Amazing.
guys,
Yeah, so good.
thanks. That was fun. But yeah, so we'll see. It'll come out. It will come out. David, make me put it out. Cameron, make me put it out.
Okay. I'll send you a reminder.
I will text you monthly. Where is it?
You might
Where
not
is it?
I
read
love
them
that
right
I'm
away.
pressuring you guys into this. I'm like, tell me to do it. Tell me to do it, guys.
Do it.
No,
We'll
it
remind
needs-
you every week.
It'll happen. I think as soon as the last episode airs, I'll make sure that I set up a game plan for it to be on.
Yeah,
shortly.
what if Tilda Swinton gives you the Palme d'Or?
It can happen.
That, I mean, come on, that's
Come
what my
on.
answer should have been. Is like, what am I supposed to do? Release my short film after David talks about getting
Well, now, yeah, it's like I don't make any more short films because it's like, well, this one's not gonna do as well.
That is kind of like you kind of set yourself
But
up for
that's not a
failure with that
reason
one.
to not share it. Like that'll probably get you. It'll probably inspire you
Yeah.
to do another one.
Yeah. So it'll go up. It'll become public this year. I can promise you that. David, who's the biggest prankster on set?
I mean, you would know. It's Jay. Yeah,
It's got to be Jay.
it's probably Jay.
I mean, I don't know. We all kind of take turns. Like during Boris's directorial debut, like I know that the joke was like, we have to all show up late to set. We have to all be on our phones when they're calling action. Like we all love Bobo, but he's got his things. and
Well,
he
he's
does-
he's begging to be messed with.
He's begging to be messed
He's
with.
just begging to be messed with.
So we enjoyed really like messing with Boris. But that was like a group thing. I think it kind of goes in turns a little bit, but I would say like the people that are organically funny, that are just like, sorry, innately is a better word to use. Innately funny is like Jay and Barrett. Like they are just funny. But I don't know about pranksters. I wish we had more pranksters. We don't have enough people like messing around with people. We're all
Is
too
it a
professional.
crew member? Well,
They're a crew member. That's funny.
does Peter mess with anybody?
No. No, I don't think so. Trying to think. Yeah, I think unfortunately, like we're just too like
You're
I'm
too
trying to think of
professional.
stuff- Yeah,
We're too polite and
professional
professional. Yeah.
to do actual pranks. But people are definitely funny, and there's definitely days where like we all start breaking up and breaking out into laughter and can't stop laughing because of something stupid someone did.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Boris was doing some of his best ad-libs. You know the scene in 707 where they all come around the table and they're like, well, I know this person in, the mayor's office, and Boris kept coming up with a different one. My favorite was like, I know LeBron James.
That's right. Boris he is the one that will mainly improvise lines, but lines that like we can't keep in. So all of a sudden
Right,
we annoy
right.
because we're like, Boris.
So Boris is actually the biggest prankster because he's like, he can't wait to like if the director hasn't called cut, he's gonna ad-lib something ridiculous, and you're like, okay, cut.
Yeah. He basically is messing with the director every time.
Move on.
Yep. I know. Everybody always wants to know who the real pranksters, but we don't really have one. We don't have like a Ryan Reynolds or like I'm trying to think of people that you've heard over the years that have caused pranks on set. We
Oh,
don't have-
Clooney and Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
That's those stories are so funny.
they are.
Yeah.
Oh man, they really go after each other too. Like they really lean in.
They're elaborate. Yeah.
Cameron, have you ever had like a prankster on any of your sets?
No,
Or have you been?
no,
No.
I have not. I have not been. I'm trying to think.
I bet there
Oh,
were
you know what? You know what? I did prank somebody.
Yeah.
I did. That's right. I on on Fallout, my friend David Register, who plays Chet, was just like all he could for like an hour and a half before lunch. He was like, I just want dessert. I want something sweet. And he had to use the bathroom, so he was like, "Hey, can you put in my lunch order?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, for sure." And I put like 9 slices of cheesecake. And so he showed up to his trailer and there were 9
Nice.
separate slices of cheesecake. And he was like, and I was like, if I do this prank, like no one can sell me down the river. And for like the whole rest of the day, he's like, I don't like, what happened? I don't know what happened. I must have screwed up. Like he started to feel bad for himself that I actually offered myself up, because I think he felt bad that the catering team had to bring like 9 slices of cheesecake. And that was my first and only prank on set, and I was the culprit. I feel
That's awesome.
yeah. I feel
if we would have had you on Station 19, you possibly would have been our prankster.
right.
I probably
Totally
would have.
would've.
I look for opportunities to lighten the mood, for sure.
I appreciate that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like you just got nominated as the designated prankster on your future.
Yeah.
Quite a
So-
responsibility to live up to.
This question is for each of you. What would your last meal on Earth be?
We moved on to the fun questions.
Oh my gosh. Does anyone have an answer like right off the bat? Like, do you know?
I do.
You know,
All right,
David.
what do you
David,
got?
what would
Oh.
yours be?
It would be a sushi dinner with my whole family. Because we just did it. My wife and son had to head out of town, and on Friday night we went to our favorite sushi place and just gorged ourselves. That's what I would do for
Oh.
sure.
Cool.
Oh,
I
Okay.
love that.
Yeah.
I do love that too.
And that you were like with my whole family. I didn't even think about like, oh, who am I with in this meal? I just was like,
Yeah,
You can't. You're never gonna find a piece of food that's that important. But if it's with your family, it's the whole vibe. Yeah.
okay.
very sweet.
And you can fire
I-
back at us. You can ask us questions too.
Oh, that's true.
I think I would. I really like to cook. During the pandemic, I developed I guess like a niche
Skills.
interest in cooking. I took like every master class there was. So I think I would want to make somebody their favorite meal, I think is what I would do for mine. And then I would just eat that meal.
Yeah.
Because I
Wow,
like
that's
cooking. Like
cool.
I feel like I like so many different varieties of food. It would be so hard to pick one, but I think it would be fun to like make something.
Yeah, that's a nice answer.
Yeah,
Very
I'm
cool.
not after you two answering this question, but I would love to know everybody else's answers around so like to
Well,
make
Danielle,
that
why don't
fun.
you tell me what your favorite thing is, and then I'll
Yeah.
make that.
There we
Oh.
go. But that's the thing, I think like you were saying, Cameron, like I love so much like different types of food that I don't even know, like it's like a daily thing. Like some days I'm like craving sushi, some days I'm craving like I don't know, a tuna fish sandwich, some days I'm craving soup. Like I don't know. That's hard. I don't have like that staple meal that like my mother cooked me growing up or something, because my mother was not a good cook. So
Oh, neither was mine.
Aw.
so
I think that's why I developed the like interest in doing it, because
Yeah.
my mom, I love her to death, but good God,
Cameron, going back to your answer, like we're actors, like we're not allowed to indulge. Like this is making me really hungry, and then I'm also like,
I know. I've actually
No.
been trying to like keep like get better about my diet, and I'm just like, I just want chicken and waffles so bad.
Chicken.
So like honestly, like
Yeah.
ever since this conversation started, I was like, man, I just drifted slowly away. And I was like, man,
You just
I
want
just wanna
Chick-fil-A right
like
now.
if Danielle were to tell me that
But
her
she
favorite
wants
thing was chicken and waffles, I would be like, Danielle, I will make
Yeah,
that
let's
right
go.
now. Let's go.
there it is, chicken and waffles. It is, Cameron. It's happening.
I'm so
Last
glad you
meal.
arrived there. I'm so glad.
Yeah. You did it.
Next.
We have a question that we've been asking everybody that's come on, and it's kind of like our niche, I guess. But what do you guys collect anything? There's something you collect that's out of the ordinary or normal? We've had some really cool stuff.
As a hobby, do you have a collection of anything?
I feel like what I collect at this point is fan letters. Like, I feel like
How many
that's what I
binders do you have now?
Want me to count?
Yeah.
Let me see. Hold on, let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15,
20.
16.
Going.
How
I
poetic
counted
would it be if it was
18.
19?
I counted 18. It would be cool if it was 19.
Ah!
But
Yeah,
I'm
if it was
also like
19, it'd be very
looking,
poetic.
I'm also like looking up at the shelves, like trying to count them just by looking at them. But I feel like that. And I collect every birthday card or any card that's ever been given to me. I have all those. Those are the things I collect.
I still need to mail you your award, Danielle.
Yeah. Why don't we just do it in Chicago? Then you don't have to pay shipping.
Seriously.
Yeah, there we go.
I don't collect anything, but I do love plants. Like I really like, there are plants all over the place, like outside,
inside.
inside. Yeah. And I'll like propagate the plants. Like I have a I think if you can see this, but like a humongous fiddly
Wow.
fig that I cut a branch off and propagated. And in my my bedroom with my girlfriend, there's like another huge one that's technically this one's cousin because I propagated it. And I did the same thing with a bunch of other stuff in here.
That's always
So I
my
don't know
point.
if that's like a,
Scotland was like that.
yeah, I don't know if it's like a collection, but I do like, I am like if I go to a store that sells plants, there's a high probability I will be purchasing one of those.
That's a lot of stores in LA, Cameron. You must be like,
It's why I don't go
careful.
out.
My temptation.
Spend money when you go out.
Yeah.
David, what about you?
I don't really have anything that I collect. When I was a kid, I collected comic books like crazy. But once I had to start spending my own money on them, like after college, somehow that stopped. And then for when I first started directing, like I directed a indie feature, and I had decided that, and I had just gotten into soccer, even though I never really played soccer. So I had a collection of soccer jerseys, and I was going to be the director who wore soccer jerseys on set. That, and I decided I looked ridiculous in the soccer jerseys, and I stopped doing that. I think the thing that I collect is like swag from TV shows.
That's
Like,
a good one.
my
too.
entire wardrobe is like Grey's Anatomy, especially Station 19, like
Swag.
or any other I have a pair of like For All Mankind sneakers. But my entire wardrobe, I'm so cheap. I just wear swag from TV shows. That's what I collect.
I like that.
Awesome. That's
Very cool.
good.
Oh, this is my favorite question. What is the strangest thing you have ever purchased?
Strangest thing I've ever purchased.
Now, Danielle, we asked you this last time on our 3-in-1,
Yeah.
and your answer was like you just ordered like some mint plants or something online.
Oh, to grow. I have basil
Yeah.
and mints. I do
Yeah,
not
that's
have
what it
to make
was.
them, Cameron. I kill every
There you
plant I
go.
touch. I had a figgle
Me
fig
too.
and I had hope and it was growing. And then randomly one day I decided to just die after I'd been doing everything exactly the same way. So I
You gotta
purchased like yes, you're like planting thing. What were you gonna say, Cameron?
You got to shake your plants.
I have to shake my plant.
Yeah, it imitates wind, so their roots get stronger. So
Huh.
I'll go around and I'll shake them.
I didn't know that.
I
Yeah.
need you to have like an Instagram channel where you're just shaking plants.
Yeah.
I know. I just
Gardening
just,
tips with Cameron.
Just me going like, so
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
You also sing to your plants or talk to them? Does that really help them?
I do talk to them. Yeah, I'll shake them and talk to them. Sometimes I'm a crazy person. Sometimes I'll like kiss their leaves. Honestly, apparently they can see us as shapes and feel our energy. So I try to be good to the green
See,
ones
this is
in here.
depressing me, Cameron. Like, why did mine die?
I know. I'm like,
You didn't talk to him.
wrong, but
I don't know. It's good. You just gotta shake them. You gotta and dance with them. You know.
Great. Cool.
Not enough
Okay,
dancing with the
I'll
plants.
send you all videos of me dancing and talking to the plants.
Yeah.
Even if it's dead, I'll be like, come on, you got this. You got this. That is what I
The
bought.
motivational-
I bought one of those little
motivational speaker.
self-propelled. What'd you say?
You could be the new motivational speaker for the plants.
For the plants.
Yeah.
That's where I could practice my public speaking.
There you go.
Plants.
Yeah. I don't know what the strangest thing I've gotten recently is. Who knows?
What's the strangest thing a fan has ever sent you? Does anything come out at you?
Nothing jumps out. I mean, no, because it's always like either stuff that's from their country or stuff that like that's a lot of it, I feel like. From whatever country they're in the world, like food and things like that. Which some people I guess would think food's weird, but I'm always like, no, this is great. I get to try food from like Sweden and like
Yeah.
Germany and
Free
wherever else. in the
snacks.
world. Yeah.
Yeah.
Snacks.
But yeah, I can't think of anything that's jumped out at me as weird.
You guys have phobias?
I have the what is it, the tryptophobia, the holes.
What?
What?
Yeah,
Your
you know, you
holes?
like if you look at like a beehive, like the holes, like
Oh,
I can't, like it makes my
Huh.
skin crawl. I think it's called,
Beth, that's
I'll
you?
Google it.
yeah, it's like tryptophobia or something like that. It starts
Yeah,
with a T.
tryptophobia. Yeah,
But in what
tryptophobia.
context? Because I think like behind you, there's like the glass door, right? That has holes in it. But does that bother you?
No, it's like think like a beehive or honeycomb.
So like pinholes.
So it has to be.
smaller.
It's like small holes.
Like
Yeah.
I don't have
Huh.
that, but I could see why you would have that. I get it.
That's
Oh,
interesting.
it ekes me
Mhm.
out. I don't know what it is, but it just drives me nuts.
I've never heard of that. It's so interesting though.
Yeah.
Huh. Now every time I see something like that, I'm gonna have to take a picture, send it to you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I would be like,
torture you.
"Ugh."
Not because I want to torture you, but I want to be like, does this bother you?
Like this?
Just
Is it
because
like this
I'm
one?
more curious. What did you say?
You're gonna be like, is it like this one, or this one?
And then I'm gonna realize that's actually horrible of me, but I'm just so curious that I have to know. Or like, how about we do it this way? You see something like that, I need you to let me know because I'm so fascinated by this. I've never heard of that.
Yeah,
before.
I'll send you a picture.
There, that's better because it won't bother me, and then I won't feel as bad. David, what
Unless
do you have?
unless it does bother you, and then you're like, oh wow, I have tryptophobia too.
That actually we could find out.
I don't think I have an official phobia. I have a fear of looking dumb, but I think everybody has it.
Yeah.
That's called anxiety, David.
I have anxiety. I think it's actually been it's been diagnosed. Yes.
Yeah. I have that too, but I've just succumbed to it, David. We all are gonna do it.
Same.
Yep.
I don't think I have a phobia. I actually have a pretty big fear of speaking publicly, which I think people laugh at me when I say that. Like to give a speech, like I had to give a speech at a care conference, and I literally was
Sweating.
hyperventilating. I was like that was no. I can't even speak
Yeah.
for like trying to talk about it. Just talking about stuff I do and acting, all that kind of stuff is fine. But like to get up and talk about something to a room full of people, like public speaking, I know that's like, I think that's the number one fear for most people in the world, right? Is public speaking.
Yeah, I think so.
So even being an actor, I have a fear of public speaking.
Oh, yeah.
Some people are so good at like Jason George might be the best public speaker I've ever met.
Oh, if you could go back to any decade, which one would it be?
Ooh.
I've got more to pick from.
I would do 1970s Hollywood.
Oh,
I
yeah.
kind of love that.
Yeah.
As a woman, though, it's kind of hard to imagine going back, truthfully.
Backwards. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yes, it sounds good, and
Go
it's
forward.
completely
Can I go forward?
correct? Yeah,
Go to
I
the
feel like it's
future.
Can I go see what's next?
yeah, like I feel like for me, it's like as cool as it does sound. I know that like the further I go back, the less rights I have, the less like
Can I just visit?
Yeah.
Just visit. I just want to visit for like a
just to
day.
visit.
Just to
Yeah.
visit.
Just
Yeah.
to visit.
I don't even know what was era to like what would have been like the Western era. Like what would that have what years would that have been?
1880s,
1880s, yeah.
I feel
1865.
like then I could have like put me on a horse with a gun. Oh,
See, I want to go further
Let's do a
back.
Western.
I want to
We
go
don't even
back.
what'd you say?
Let's do a Western. Just go
Yeah.
back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. What?
Yeah.
Let's see. I would go all the way back because I binged Outlander way too many times, and so I would love to go back to that time just for a day. Just for a day. That's it.
Yeah,
That's all.
Yeah.
that's a good one too.
That's a good one.
What about everybody else?
Beth, do you have a question?
No question?
Where are you good?
David,
yeah.
what about you? What
Yeah,
where
what about
are you
David?
going back to?
Oh,
I need to
yeah,
know.
David.
I don't know. What first came to mind was the 1980s when I was a kid. I don't know why,
Mm,
but yeah.
Because you want to go back to your childhood?
I guess I
or-
want to go back to my childhood. I was thinking of 80s movies, which now when I watch them, they're not very good, but
what are you talking
Yes,
about?
they
I still love
are.
it.
they're good. They're
They are.
good. I mean, some of them don't hold up, but like some of them I love, like Real Genius or yeah. I would go back to the
Yeah.
80s when I was a kid.
Here's a question from a fan, Emma, station related. She wanted to know, what is your hope, and this could be for everyone, that Station 18's legacy can leave behind for future fans or existing fans? What would you like that to be?
Like, who's going first with this one? David, you're like,
No, it's a one.
I would just love it to still resonate with people. Like, I mean, it's funny the segue into like seeing an 80s film and it not holding up to some and holds up to others. Like, I hope it's a show that holds up over the years, that people can still relate to it. I mean, I hope there's a lot more progress in the world, and so we're not dealing with some of the issues that we had to combat in the 7 years that we shot the show. But at the same time, I hope the characters are still relatable to people, and people can still find like solace and representation on television through these characters and the stories they tell, and that it's empowering and inspiring. Like, I hope that continues. I hope it withstands time. So yeah, that's what I would hope.
Yeah,
you will.
I didn't think of empowerment, but empowerment and tolerance. I hope it looks like I hope it looks like you're saying. I hope it looks dated because
Yeah.
empowerment isn't even a thing anymore. It doesn't need, because there's equality, and tolerance isn't needed to be a message on a TV show because it's just the norm. That would be great. But they'd be like, oh, it started with like shows like Station 19. I mean, we're not the only ones doing it, but I feel like we did it the most. Like,
Agreed.
Yeah, we definitely didn't shy
And
away
you guys
from it.
never shied away from anything.
Yeah.
You tackled it.
Yeah.
Whatever the social injustice of this week or this month was, you guys tackled it full on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether it was a brother who was a white supremacist.
Always playing a horrible person.
I can't. Do you play a horrible person in the Fallout or
he does. He does.
Oh yeah.
He
He's a
does.
hard Fallout. And when they first reveal him, he's super hot. It's like, whoa, this guy's. And then I was like, and then I'm watching it, and then I start to realize where it's going. I'm like, they're making Cameron play a douchebag.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Oh,
if
I
I'm not
always
killing
tease-
or being killed, I'm not in the show.
Oh, I'm
I
excited to
yeah.
watch it.
I have this theory. It's like nowadays, if you're a handsome, slightly blonde guy, you're probably like, this has been the way. This has been for years, since the 80s. Like, the blonde handsome guy has to be a dick because they're too blessed in the way they were born. I don't know what it is. Like, that's often where it goes.
It really is. I have been in an audition before where I was reading for the lead, and the casting director, like halfway through the scene, went, stop. And I was like, oh
Okay.
shit, I'm doing a terrible job. And she leaned over and grabbed the sides for the antagonist and said, take 30 minutes and go read this.
What is that? What is the deal? It's like it's frustrating.
I am intrigued as to what that is. I can't wait to see your character in Fallout and in Sugar, but
Yeah, I'm even worse than Sugar.
Oh my god!
God.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
But you
I
weren't.
play
I'm
it.
gonna cast you against type, against your normal.
Yeah, come
type.
on.
What's on your top 5 Spotify artist list?
I tell you,
Hey, I
always play the National and the Lumineers all the time. I love the National and the Lumineers.
Yeah. Or maybe because I also don't know how to find the top 5. I'm like, Susan, you're way more advanced with us.
she is.
Who are you
She very
listening
much
to right
is.
now? Like, who's playing in your car?
All right.
You're
What
just,
do you like to listen to
chilling?
in your car when you're driving?
I mean, I've been doing a lot of shuffle stuff, but it just also depends on my mood. Like right now, if I like go and listen to the most recent, it's like the random fitness because of obvious. I'm like working out all the time, so it's like because I have the freedom to. So it's a ton of like random fitness songs. I mean, but
Okay.
Dua Lipa is my jam these days. Right now, when I'm running on the
I
treadmill.
love Dua Lipa.
Dua Lipa.
I love
Yes.
her. Someone the other day had a whole like thing. He's like, I don't get why you like Dua Lipa. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I just think all of her songs sound the same. I'm like, they don't. And even if they did, I don't care. They make me happy.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love it. I also really like, there's this Canadian rock band that I love called The Beaches.
The Beaches.
Both
That
me and
I-
David grab our phones to look them up.
I'm not adding it.
They're so fun. I think they're great.
Okay.
I'm going to the Beaches.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
Add it to my playlist. Speeches.
Blame Brett.
Yeah.
Is that one of the
Yeah,
songs?
blame that. If you want to, I was gonna say, if you're gonna start with a song, that's the song you should start with.
Okay.
Okay. My phone. I was trying to play it, but my phone won't even play. It's not like it doesn't want to play. It literally said something
Okay.
went wrong. Try again.
Story of our life.
Yep.
Yeah. You guys all understand now.
Yes.
We do.
No.
Absolutely.
The Beaches is like an all girl thing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's cool.
They're so fun. It's good to drive to, like to your point.
Yeah.
Oh,
Some good
cool.
cruising music. I like it.
Drink to, drive to, dance to. I work out to them too. Like I'm
Yes.
all around a fan.
Awesome.
My
Yeah.
sister showed them to me.
That's pretty cool.
Danielle, someone
Oh,
asked
Jesus.
if you would
No.
ever dabble into
No.
your music career again.
No.
You had a music career?
Think-
Wait, we've
think-
had so many conversations. You
Oh.
never told me about your music.
There's a difference, David. I choose to not talk about my music career. It's not like I won a Grammy and like I'm hiding it in the closet. Like,
So I have
okay,
to say the
David.
story.
Yeah.
So when
What
we were
story?
going through these questions, right?
Yeah.
And that question came up, I was like, I know Danielle's answer. It's gonna be absolutely not. I was like, the most we'll ever get is her co-writing a song again. Because you do like to write songs.
I do like to write songs. No, I did I feel like I closed that chapter when I decided like I had to decide, David, I'm a kid actor. Like you have children actors, like you get it. If you're just doing it, you do it all because you don't have any actual life responsibilities. So because you're a kid, so I acted, I did commercials, I sang in a band. I was in multiple bands. I was like in a band called Sweet Obsession, and then I was where we toured like theme parks, and then I was in another band called Trinity, where we also like we opened for Jesse McCartney. Like
Oh my god.
I did a lot of music, and then I went and did a solo album and released that. And yes, so I've done a lot of music, and then I decided like, oh, I'm at an age when I need to decide, like, do I want to act or do I want to sing? And I chose acting. And I just haven't really looked back, but the fans have all found my music.
I'm sure to be amazing. And I'm not gonna give up. We're gonna get a season 8 somewhere.
Somewhere.
Yes.
We're not giving up.
We'll save Mason. We'll bring him back from the brink.
Yes.
Let's go.
We haven't
Let's
seen the
go.
last episode yet. We're gonna read the
Mason deserves his redemption arc.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Does.
talking about.
He does. And then watch,
I would
you'll
love
get
to
your
do that.
redemption arc. And then you'll start playing nice characters.
Then he'll
See,
be
this could be
happy
the
Uncle
beginning
Mason.
of this could be a
Yes.
beginning of a brand new chapter.
Yeah, hear me
We're all
out.
for
Uncle
it.
Mason is teaching Liam all about art and drawing.
Mhm.
That should have been the thing, David.
That would have been so sweet.
I don't know.
Didn't Emily?
They're spot
There's a
on.
lot of similarities.
Oh,
Emily has said that to me. She did say Emily used to be really big on making sure she was up to date on everything, and she's always like tried to make sure she gave the fans like Easter eggs. Her and Xavier Easter eggs, like what they, you know, because OG
Yeah.
fans of the show and like things like
Yeah.
that.
but now they're
I don't
worried
know.
about getting sued. I think
What'd you say?
now they're worried about getting sued because I think it's just a coincidence. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
I
know. I think
mean,
some. Yeah,
They can't be really.
there's so many
sued.
fanfics.
yeah.
There's so many stories out there. There's gonna be similarities eventually.
Mhm.
Like
There is
it's
going to
just
be, well, when you have a million
Right.
different storylines. Yeah. Like someone
Yeah.
out there, I'm sure had, going back to like when you guys said, what was my head canon about Maya? I'm sure someone out there had that somewhere. Like that was Maya
course.
became a firefighter because of Pruitt or something. Like, of course, people are going to come up with the same ideas. I mean, it was interesting, even like when I was like, oh, Emily, you put you had Maya call the baby Proby. That's what the fans wanted. And she's like, I didn't know the fans wanted that. She's like, I wanted that. So sometimes like Emily's always been like, I am also a fan specifically of the
she is.
Marina relationship, that she's like, as a writer who's a fan of this relationship, I also want to see certain things with these characters that just happen to coincide with what the fans want as well.
and she has the power to make it happen. And we
She
thank her
does.
for her service.
Yeah. Sometimes they don't have all the power, which is sometimes when they're like, the fans are mad at us. And I'm like, unfortunately, it's
You can't make everyone happy.
Comes with the job. Whenever
Yeah.
you check it next.
So I kind of just wrote up something that was like a combination of all those that I'll kind of just say on behalf of the fandom. But on behalf of the fan family, we wanted to express our gratitude to each of you, along with the 300 plus others on cast and crew that have brought this magic, camaraderie, joy, representation, dedication, and beautiful piece of art into our homes every Thursday night for the last 7 seasons. Your work will be cherished. Forever friendships, chosen families, marriages, found inner voices of strength, lost smiles of forever friendship, have all been found through this dedicated show and the confounding work that you guys have all brought into our lives. Thank you for being remarkable individuals, the 3 of you specifically, fighting the fight next to us every day and keeping it up, because we know the value of this show and what it stands for. We can't thank you enough. We adore you and admire you on and off the screen. We will be here to support you, and we send our love from all around the globe. So we're going to continue to fight, and we'll give you a big old 19 here at the end.
19.
Thank you, guys.
And we
Cameron, did
will
you just
always
get to say
follow
your
your
19?
careers wherever
I
it
did.
goes.
You got a 19 from Cameron.
I got a 19.
Cameron got a
That felt
19
good. That felt good.
Yeah, we
But
appreciate
thank you so much.
Thank you so much. This has been awesome. What you guys have been doing has been amazing, and really, really appreciate and love you guys so much. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm really glad I got to join and meet everybody. This was great.